All right, boys and girls, we're back for another math lesson. Today we're going to be working with measuring objects. So we need our ruler. Ms. Foster has included in your weekly attachments a paper ruler just in case that you don't have a good one at home that shows the markings that we're going to be talking about. And we're going to be talking about a close-up of this ruler, and that's why I've got these sheets open on up front to be able to talk about before we talk about our target. This page right here, we're talking about the sections between the 0 and the 1. We're going to be talking about the ½ mark today. So that's important for us to be able to talk about, and they've enlarged it right here so that you can see. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, is that we want to talk about these sections, and I want to talk about from this section to this section. That's one section or one part. And then from here to here is a part. I've been talking about partitioning shapes, and that's basically what's important here. Is from here to here is a part, and the last section I want to talk about from here to reaching 1, that is a part. So the reason why I'm colored those in and zoomed in the camera is because I really want you to be able to focus on knowing that there are from 0 to 1, there are 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see those colors. So as a marking and measurement, we know from 0 to 1, the middle section, we know that is 1/2, correct? So that's 1/2, or you can actually do the 1/2 the slanted way. Miss Foster likes to do the slanted way too. But the sections in between, you will learn those in 3rd and 4th grade, but I still want to be able to talk to you about it because there is 1, 2, 3, 4 parts that make the whole. And when we talked about in the past, when we've divided sections up, we've talked about a clock and how there are 4 parts in our clock. You know, we have 12 o'clock, 6, 3, and 9, those sections in our clock, that 4 sections. We said this area, in each section, we call it a quarter. So what do you think we're going to call this section in between these 4 sections? You got it. Each section is a quarter. So this is going to be from here, this line to the pink, that is going to be 1/4 or a quarter. And we know from 0 to the end of the green is a ½ So from the purple, so this line 0 to the end of where purple is, that is actually going to be 3/4 because it's 3 sections. 1, 2, 3. So 3/4 of the whole. And then if you wanted to say how many parts to the end of the blue, you can say that it's actually 4 parts, 4, but we're measuring, so we're going to be saying that that is 1. So all that's just kind of a close-up of what we're talking about for our ruler today. And this is a page that that we would have talked about in class, but we also are going to be using our ruler, and I'm going to zoom out. Okay, after I've zoomed out, we're looking at this ruler as well. This is in your weekly attachments, and you can use that to be able to measure things in our book today if you want to. If not, you can use your ruler, but Miss Foster's ruler is very hard to see on the camera. You can't see all my lines up close unless I get really close, and then it may be blurry or fuzzy. But I wanted to show you that we have a paper ruler, and the same thing applies. We have 4 sections on our ruler. You'll need to get out your math journal and page 227. Miss Foster's torn hers out, so we're on math journal page 227. And while you get out your math journal page 227, we're going to be talking about our target today, which says I can measure objects and give a more precise measurement, measuring to the nearest half inch. And this is the word we're going to talk about today, precise. And then we noted here that it's going to be measuring to the nearest half inch. So that's why it was important for me to show you with it zoomed in that we have those sections, and the way we find the halfway point between 0 and 1 is actually 2 marks because it has 4 sections. So half of 4 would be 2. So why do we want to measure precise? Does anybody know what the word precise means? Good job. Precise gives us more of an accurate measurement. So see if we make sure you can see Miss Foster here. Did I zoom out enough? Yeah, I did. Okay. Precise, just a fancy way to say, gives more of an accurate or closer measurement. And what we're going to be measuring in is to the nearest, Miss Foster can't write, the nearest half inch. So we're going to be looking at things and measuring, saying, okay, so is the number, the object we're measuring, is it closer to, let's say 3, 3.5, or 4? So we're going to be looking at that halfway mark and looking at things that we can measure to see if it's better to be measured on the half inch marking of our ruler or to the full whole measurement. So if you don't have a ruler at home that has good measurements on there where you can see, because see this ruler right here, so dark, I'm so sorry. But this ruler right here has all the little small markings. It divides it down to 8ths and 16ths, and we don't need to do that. So if you want to, just take this paper ruler that we have, and I want you to cut it out, and we're going to go on like a scavenger hunt and find some things that we can measure to the nearest half inch. Okay, so if you want to, go ahead and cut out your paper ruler. You're going to be using this on Math Journal today, so it's not a waste. And but if you have a ruler already and you can see your half inch marking really well, that will work just fine. To measure here, let's use this highlighter, and we're going to measure it. And we know we need to start our measurement on 0, so you're going to put the end of what you're measuring to 0. And then now you're going to look on how long it is, and it's either going to be closer to 5 or 5.5. Which one is closer? If you were to make that call, is it closer to 5 or 5.5? Huh? Well, this one actually, it could go either way because it's actually 5 1/4. So we could actually say 5, or we could say 5.5. So you're going to come across things that are kind of going to go in between that measurement. All right, let's see if Miss Foster can find something else. Ooh, my son doesn't know, but I have his Hubba Bubba from Easter. So let's measure this. Let's measure the top of it. We'll start it at 0, and we go across, and it ends exactly at what? Can you see? Good job, 3. It ends at 3. All right, what else can we measure? All right, I still haven't given it back, Mr. Foster's M&Ms. Let's measure his M&M box. Started at 0, and we're going to go all the way. And what is the measurement? You got it, 6 inches. All right, I gotta find some half inchers here. All right, Miss Foster has a plaque that was given to me. It says, with God, all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. Now let's zoom in and let's see. What's this measurement closer to? Started at 0, and it goes past the half inch mark of 3.5. It's not quite 4, but it's past 3.5. So what is it closer to? Is it closer to 3.5 or closer to 4? Good job. We're going to say 4 because it is going off the edge. It is past 3 3/4. So it would be a better measurement to say that it's 4. Okay. All right, let's see if we can find something else to measure. It has a picture frame and it says integrity, righteousness guards the man of unity, Proverbs 13:6. We're going to zoom in a little bit. Look at this measurement. Okay, line it up on 0, and it's past 3.5, and it's past 3 3/4. So what's a good measurement for it? It is 4. Good job. Foster has her JBL speaker. I tried to use it at school. It's got my kids' faces on it. That is a Christmas present. Let's see what it measures. Started at 0 and go across. Here is 3, and there's 3 3/4, and a little bit past. I don't know if you can see that edge. It's closer to 3.5. So notice how we're able to use our paper ruler. We're actually getting more precise measurements, and that's what we're working on. And so we want to make sure that we understand that each section of this ruler that I've highlighted, there are 4 sections. We've talked about partitioning off a shape. Well, we've kind of partitioned off this ruler to see the 4 sections. Here's the close-up view again, the 4 sections, so that we can see that the first section, which is in pink, Miss Foster did, is 1/4, and then the 2 sections together is 1/2. 3 sections is 3/4, and then all 4 sections make a whole. So that would be your nearest inch mark. So working with that and knowing that we've been working with precise measurement, now you need your math journal page. Zoom out. Okay. So look at math journal page 227. And I want you to go ahead and put TKA at the top of the page. A pencil. Put TKA at the top because you're working with Miss Foster. And you're going to use your 12-inch ruler, which we're going to use our paper ruler. If you have a ruler at home, you can use your ruler. As long as you can see those markings for the 1/2-inch mark, that's what's most important today, okay? And another thing I wanted to point out, I forgot to mention to you, I'm going to zoom in so you can see, is how did I know that it was 1/2 inch for sure? Well, let's look right here between 3 and 4. Do you see how 3, the first mark is shorter, but then the middle mark is longer, but it's not as long as our number marks. So it is actually half the size of the long marks. And the little bitty tick marks that you see in between, it's actually half the mark that you see in the middle. So it's actually neat the way rulers are designed, because this is 3.5, and half of that section is 1/4. So that's 3 1/4. And then because it's again a half a section, it's 1, 2, 3. 3/4 of a section. So it's kind of neat the way the rulers are designed. It kind of helps us know how to do our measurements correctly. All right, so using your ruler, we're going to look at Math Journal page 227, and it says, use your 12-inch ruler to measure the lengths of these objects to the nearest inch. Underline that or box it in. We're going to go to the nearest inch, not the 1/2 inch, but the nearest inch. So I want you to measure the crayon, tell me how many inches it is, and then measure the eraser and tell me how many inches it is. So pause the video, and I want you to take your ruler or your paper ruler, and I want you to make your measurements. So now that we're back, did you start your ruler on 0? And you take your 0, started at 0, not the end of the ruler, but at 0. And you measure all the way. And what is my crayon closest to? Everyone should have come up with 4 inches. All right, same thing with your eraser. Start your ruler on 0, and we're measuring to the nearest inch. And my eraser ends here, but is this closer to, it ends on my paper ruler right here. Is it closer to 2 or is it closer to 3? Good job. So my eraser is 2 inches. All right. Use your 12-inch ruler to measure the lengths of these objects to the nearest ½ inch. Circle that, because now we're moving to the nearest ½ inch. Now we're getting into those precise measurements, okay? So we're gonna start our measurement on the end of this marker. Start at 0, and then we're gonna move all the way down and measure. Here is 4, and it ends exactly on 4 1/2. Now you know you can do the slanty, or you can do it 1/2. It does not matter. Okay. All right. What about the paintbrush? All right. Let's start at 0. I'm going to let you measure. So you measure. I'm not going to put mine up there just yet. Now, what did you come up with? Did you come up with 5 1/2? Good job. All right. Now this is where it gets kind of tricky because we're not at school, and it says measure the length of your desk to the nearest ½ inch. We're going to get rid of desk and we're going to say book. Okay. So we're going to measure our math books. All right. So here's my math book, and let's measure the top to the bottom of our math book. So let's put the ruler on 0. Okay. And it goes all the way. We're going to measure to the nearest ½ inch is what it says. So here is 10 1/2. And then the next ½ inch would be 11. So our book is 11 inches long. Okay. All right, use the measurement above to complete problem 6. So they're talking about 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 to answer number 6. And the question says, use the measurements above to complete problem number 6. The crayon, which is right here, is about blank inches longer than the eraser. So that's going to be a subtraction problem. So how much longer is the crayon than it is the eraser? Good job, 2 inches. All right, and so that's our measurement for today, but we do have one more page. It's kind of a review page. I've already put that on there as a reminder. It's a review page. And I hope that you saw that. So I know you heard me say it, but so our book is about 11 inches, and then it was comparing the crayon to the eraser and how much longer it was. It was 2 inches. Good job. All right, we are going to work on page 228, so put TKA at the top of the page. All right, and the question says divide this circle into 2 equal parts. All right, so I can divide it this way, 2 equal parts. And I like to shade, so I'm going to shade in one side. And it says write a name for one part. So what would be the name of my one shaded part? Good job. I could put 1/2, which is a ½ I could write the word half. I could write it 1/2. Or I can write it slanted. Okay. Write the name of all of the parts together. So the entire thing together, what would be a name for it? Good job. 2 over 2. You could say 2 of 2 parts. Or you could put it's a whole. Number 2 says divide the circle into 4 equal parts. All right, so I could take this and divide it in half, and then divide it in half again. All right, I'm going to shade in one of my parts. Write a name for one part. Good job. 1, and how many parts total? 4. So 1/4. You could say 1 of 4. You could say 1/4. How many of you did that one? Good job. All right, or you can write the words 1/4. Good job. Okay. Write the name of all the parts together. Okay. Easy way. 4/4. Or you could say whole. Or you could say 4 of 4 parts. Either one of those is correct. Okay. Number 3 says, which circle is divided into thirds or 3 equal parts? Remember Miss Foster telling you, can you divide a circle into 3 equal parts? And look, what letter do we see on the side? A letter Y, yes. So which one is divided into 3 equal parts? All right, circle A. You're correct. And how do you know? How do we know that this is equaled into 3 equal parts? Good job. All the parts have the same size. So how do you know? Circle A, parts are all equal. Or you could put the parts are all the same size. Either one of those answers is correct. All right, last question. For the circle divided into thirds, write a name of all the parts. So what would be a name for this right here that's in 3 equal parts? Good job. You could put 3/3. You could put a whole. Or you could say 3 of 3 parts. Any of those answers is correct. All right. So let's go back to our target for today. It says I can measure objects and give a more precise measurement, measuring to the nearest half inch. So I think we did that. We worked on our ruler. We saw that there are parts in our ruler. The parts that are in a ruler are broken down into sections like they partitioned it. Okay. And there are 1, 2, 3 parts in an inch. So 1 inch equals 4 quarters. And it's like 4 1/4 inches is what it's saying. So this is a 1/4 inch. Each section is a 1/4 inch. So going back to our target, we talked about precise. Precise means it's an accurate or a closer measurement. And we want to talk about how we're going to put this on our target, our poster, so we can remember. If this was 0 and this is 1, we want to be able to do working with half-inch measurement. And we know that the sections in between are smaller. So this section is a 1/4. This section is a 1/4. This section is a 1/4. And the last section is a 1/4 section, but it makes our whole. So the smaller section is 1/4. This is one section right here. That's 1/4. From here to here is 1/2. From here all the way over to here is 3/4. And from here to here is our whole, which is 4 parts of 4. All right, so that is our target for today. You can measure objects and give a more precise measurement, and we are working on measuring to the half inch. All right. Hope you have a good rest of your day.